tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey there, agents! Welcome back to AFTERBUZZ TV's Agent Carter After Show. Thank you so much for joining us, you guys. We're here talking about Agent Carter and AFTERBUZZ TV. It's the atomic job, and I'm your host, Zach Wilson. Tweeted me throughout the week, throughout the show, and that's Zach Wilson. Now let me introduce you to the full panel. Everyone's back. Mainly, I'm back because I was the only one missing last week.
Nope, I was missing too.
Oh yeah, Emma was missing. See, I wasn't here, so I didn't know.
Yeah.
You got your hat back.
Yes, I stole it back from Megan. Megan Salinas is here.
Hey guys, you can tweet at me at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin.
I'm also here. I'm Emma Fyffe. You can tweet at me at Emma Fyffe.
And I'm Jesse Klein. You can tweet at me at JessKlein1. That's JessKlein, the number one.
And thank you guys so much for joining us. I hope those of our friends in New England were able to find the episode. I know some of you lost. Agent Carter lost out to the New Hampshire primary coverage.
What is that?
Who cares about the country?
But I'm so glad to be back. And yes, Boo, I did get my hat back from Megan. I had to fight her for it.
The way you're wearing it right now, though, it looks like you're in the Australian outfit.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a little cowboy hat.
I said it. I said it earlier.
Yeah, I was like, Jesse, you're not the first person to tell me that tonight. But I can actually
Crocodile
wear it
Dundee,
this
yeah.
way.
It looks like you're about
That's
to.
what I said.
It looks like you're about to kidnap the rescuers down under.
Well, crikey, I think it's time we saw at the show.
Great.
And stop doing Australian accents.
That ain't nice.
All right, guys.
Yeah, we're gonna get into trouble.
All right. The atomic job. What did you guys? Well, before we get into this, I think Emma and I need a moment about last week's episode. Emma,
go for it.
Let's do like 1 minute. Let's do 2 minutes. What did you think of last week?
Oh, it was so good. I loved seeing the sort of parallels and not so parallels between Peggy's childhood and Whitney Frost's childhood. I loved that it opened with Peggy, like, as a little girl being a prince, because that's one of my favorite tropes, is a girl wanting to be a prince.
Very antenna, right?
Yeah, and Rose of Versailles and so many anime. But also, I wanted to punch every freaking man in the face in that episode that told Whitney Frost to smile throughout her lifetime, and one of them was wearing purple, and it was like not good. No, it was bad.
If you guys had watched the episode, you would know that we pointed that out. There was a guy in a purple suit telling someone to smile, and I was like, oh no!
It was very uncomfortable, and anyone who's familiar with Jessica Jones will understand why.
I really loved last week's episode. Especially loved Whitney Frost's backstory. There was one issue that I had with Peggy's backstory.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if you guys touched on it.
Because of the short. Because of the short, right?
The short?
The Agent Carter short has a conflicting origin story.
Well, the short has at this point been sort of
retconned.
Out of
it's more of
existence.
a test, like, hey guys, this is what we can do. with
Do
it
you guys
as
want to
it is.
watch Peggy Carter do stuff? Okay.
Yeah, they
answer
threw
is
out
yes.
the short in favor of giving us 2 seasons of TV. That's fine.
Totally fine.
I'm good with that.
No, it was at first I really liked Peggy's backstory, and then somebody pointed something out to me, and I got to credit to our a friend of the show, Mr. Matt Lieberman.
Okay.
Because once he said it, I couldn't stop thinking about
Couldn't
it
unsee
because Peggy Carter's story, the way that she was built as a character in Captain America, the First Avenger, was that she ran a parallel life to Steve Rogers, wanting to fight the good fight, always trying to be that person who's gonna do it, but the only thing in her way from being that hero is something about her physicality that just won't, and the establishment won't let them do it. For Steve Rogers, it was his size, and for Peggy, it was being a woman.
Being a woman, yeah.
And in this version of her story, it means that she was perfectly willing to settle down and and leave her career behind until
I didn't get that at all.
That's how it sort of felt to me.
No. See, I don't think she was perfectly willing to settle down at all.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think she was complacent. Sorry, Meg.
No, it just felt like, but she was doing it, and like she wasn't.
I don't think there was.
I think she was doing it reluctantly. Like, I think that she had convinced herself that was something that she was okay with, but she wasn't okay with it.
I get what you're saying, and like some people could make the argument that it sucks that like a man was what set her on the path to like, you know, and like the fact that her brother got fridged and all that other stuff.
Right, turn the fridge around.
But for me, watching this and seeing her be complacent in that way, shape, or form, to me, that didn't necessarily to me indicate that she wasn't the type of person, because when you see her hang out with her brother, you know that the way she's acting at work and the way she's acting around her fiance isn't the real her. But like everybody who's an adult, and I don't want to harp on this for too long because we got to talk about this episode. Yeah. But everybody who's an adult at some point in their life, you hit that point where the world has just beaten down your dreams. It doesn't necessarily matter who you are or how successful you are or whatever, but there's always a point in your life where you feel like the world has beaten you. And I feel like when we meet Peggy, when she gets engaged, that's just at her point where she feels like the world has beaten her into this thing that she's supposed to be.
Okay. Yeah. And so without spending too much time harping on it, my thing was just like, but she was given the opportunity, like literally in an envelope. Yeah. Here is your opportunity to have that thing you wanted, and her turning it down just felt off to me. After that.
But again, after a lifetime of being told you can't do this,
I would have liked to see that a little more. Is my only ask for that in that case.
I don't think she marries that guy even if her brother stays alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
I think didn't read that.
But
it wouldn't have lasted anyway.
Yeah. But it's time to talk about the atomic job. Thank you guys for indulging me for a moment, because I really wanted to address that.
No, you both looked really passionate. I appreciate it.
So this episode, basically, I wrote it on the board. This is Peggy's 11.
It really is.
Yeah, Peggy gets her little team together, does a heist job. Amazing. Her wacky little team.
Yeah, this was very much a comedy episode. Like when you have Matt Bronger and Ken Marino and like bigger roles, it's like, oh, this is their kind of goofy comedy episode. Yep. And the entire episode, I was like, it can't be comedy the entire time. Someone's gonna die or something bad's gonna happen, because it was like, it's too fun. It's way too. Yeah. And even though Agent Carter is a lighthearted show, it still is a post-World War II agency show. So it was a fun show. I enjoyed all of the comedy going on in the show.
Yeah, I thought the comedy was on point in this episode.
They've really, it took me a little while to sort of deal with it. It still sort of like hits me a little weird every week. This season has been much more comedy filled than last year.
Yeah, it's interesting, because I feel like the first season, again, Jesse, as you say, it is a lighter tone than, say, especially the stuff that we're seeing on Netflix. Mm-hmm. But even still, like, last season, it wasn't as, like, hard-hitting comedy, you know what I mean? Like, it was last season was super fun because it was really clever, but, like, this season is funny.
Yeah, this season is, like, kitschy and very much that, like, 1950s, I don't want to say slapstick, but that sort of, like, Jarvis in the Vent.
Yeah,
and, like, the walking in a straight line cliche, completely undermined by, where's the car?
Right.
It's fun. Like, there are times where I'm like, okay, you guys, like,
enough is enough.
Yeah, we get it. There's like people dying,
right?
But it is fun. And once I think you sort of have to embrace the fact that this is the closer to comedy in Marvel's spectrum.
Yeah. Well, I think every episode might be a little genre specific, because I think there have been episodes this season that were not funny at all, but were more kind of like a detective story, and this felt more like beach party bingo. Like this was like a goofy kind of, not necessarily this early, but close to this time, kind of like California goofy comedy. Like there were some genuine slapstick moments when Matt Bronger's like, yeah, I used it on him and he's fine, and he's like, no you didn't, and he walks into the wall. Like That was like a slapsticky moment in the middle of this thing where people died.
Yeah.
I did love the whole thing with the scientist and like all his inventions. Like we're getting to play with that a little bit more.
Yeah.
It was kind of like seeing Q get out into the field if Q happened to be the friend that nobody liked.
Oh yeah, a really awkward Q.
Yep. Yep.
It's like, no, I don't like it when people are in my lab, you guys. Just because you brought me pie.
We get some good backstory from him though, where he was a field agent.
Yeah.
He was in the war.
No, I had genuine feelings about his conversation when he was talking with Sousa and how, he's like, I had 11 job offers and this is the one I took because I thought that this was going to be my opportunity to do something.
Basically, you lied to me.
Yeah.
You don't remember that you said that? Because that's what made me take this job.
Yeah. But it is a big thing because like most of the SSR would be former soldiers.
Yeah.
Of course they would be. And so, yeah, even the scientists, like, they would have seen wartime action. Whether they were on the front lines or in the lab, like, they would have been fighting during the war or serving during the war.
Yeah.
And just like Sousa, who's, like, physically unable to, like, that's what puts him into the position that he's in right now.
And people might not know this, but after World War II, American patriotism was at an all-time high. Like, if you were a soldier who fought in World War II, you were a celebrity. Like, it wasn't like since the Vietnam War, when the news has been able to cover not all the great aspects of war and, like, what it actually takes to win a war, and soldiers are generally agreed upon as heroes, but the things that happen in war are not necessarily agreed upon as a heroic act. But at this time, if you were a veteran, you were a celebrity. You could go into a diner and eat for free, and people would thank you for your service no matter what. Like, and I think that was a great time. Like, I think we should probably be back closer to that time when it comes to our soldiers. But like, I think it's important to kind of remember that this entire agency is full of people who could have many different jobs and be many different things, and they've decided to be these people and be secret and not be celebrities.
Well, because I mean, it is really interesting to think about because, as you say, the attitude of the time was very much that if you fought in the war, you had actively participated in, for all intents and purposes, saving the world.
Yeah.
Certainly saving the free world as we sort of came to know it in the U.S. for sure.
Yes, we are the free world.
Yes.
Definitely.
Keep on rocking.
But
I gotta say, Peggy's saving the world. You're saving the world. You're saving the world.
Oh my gosh, that's so great.
Yeah, that Ray Weiss slapstick keeps waking up and then zapping him, and then he keeps like, "Hey, who are you? Nice to see you."
I freaking love Ray Weiss. Like,
it's great.
He's one of my favorite character actors on television, and like he's so good in this role. Like he often plays. He plays the same character every time, but I'll never get sick of it.
I got to do some comedy videos with him, and he is genuinely as cool as he seems. He is twice as cool in real life.
That's amazing. I love also in this in that sequence I always love the American names that Peggy comes up with for herself.
I'm Wanda.
I am Wanda. Like what?
her American accent, I even wrote it down, is just unreal.
It's great.
I love that it was a different American accent than the last time she used an American accent.
It's like kudos to Haley Atwell. Like she just does such a phenomenal job just going right into it and right back out. Freaking rocks it. Or Hugh Jones. I just call him. I never forget a face.
Yes. I know. It was great. And him walking away and then going, "Agent!" Just running back to the office.
It kind of cracks me up because the same actress that plays Maria Hill, in another series, he played her father.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, we don't know. Maybe he changed.
Maybe there's a connection there. He's like her great-great-grandfather.
Maybe he's Maria Hill's grandfather. Yeah, there we go.
Robin Hill.
Distant cousin of Maria Hill.
Yeah.
Agent Sherbatsky. But yeah, so she undoes his belt, gets the key, and then like that all leads to them tracking down the nukes. And I liked this bit of connection because it didn't feel like forced.
No, I agree.
Like, oh well, there's like 20 Roxxon facilities, but I'm pretty sure it's in this one. It was like, no, this all makes sense. Like, Stark, of course, has corporate espionage.
Yeah, totally.
And there's only one where he's not been successful. Yeah, that's
got to be the one. Yeah, no, I liked that justification as well. I thought that made sense.
Well, the whole reason why we're going after nukes is because Wilkes finds out that he can absorb zero matter.
Yeah.
And when he does, he becomes tangible for a brief moment.
Yeah.
Like, she grabs his arm and she can touch him for a second.
Yeah.
And, like, that whole scene, like, the part where it starts off where it's, like, a ghost story and she pulls her gun out and it goes through his head.
Yes.
It was just, like, a really cool moment. Like, that was visually really stunning.
Yeah.
Like, a great way to start the episode. Hat's coming off.
It's getting serious now. It's getting serious.
I want to be able to hear you.
Yeah,
guys.
no, it's also interesting because it seems like the zero matter. This is going to be a weird analogy. It's sort of like being part of the Borg, I feel like, in a way where like they seem to be able to like sense other stuff that's been touched by the zero matter, because basically what it is, you know, Wilkes figures out that like he can become corporeal like momentarily, and he also knows where the dead girl's body is.
Yeah.
Well, and we didn't touch on it. Somebody actually pointed this out to us. But the when he a couple episodes ago like had that weird vision, it was actually in the same shape as like I think the crack on her
Whitney's
on her face.
Yeah.
So that I would have to go back and freeze frame it, but yeah, that's again there's clearly a connection here, and what I see in terms like as the tangible thing is very, very interesting and scary. But for me, the thing that I noticed was the eyes. Like, both of their eyes did that dark black thing that I haven't seen since Loki had his scepter and was mind controlling people. And I was like, is this the same stuff? Like, is Loki's scepter, like, we never knew where it really came from. Is it somehow tied to the same place where this zero matter came from?
There are so many visual effects in this show, in this, like, in season 2 of Peggy Carter, that feel so similar to other things in the Marvel Universe. If it's not explained, that's a big problem, and like it'll be a big negative for this season because it looks just like the gravitonium from season 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It looks just like the portal from the current season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And now we have this. Come on, the showrunners were lying when they said that it's not the Hydra symbol.
They absolutely were.
But those visual effects.
I don't like being lied to, by the way.
Marvel is too good at it's all connected for that to slip.
I would agree.
I want to think that it's going to come around and be explained. The black eyes I could see not necessarily tying back to Loki.
Because that's kind of a trope.
But it's very, very true, especially when you're dealing with something that is called dark matter.
Where else are you
dark
gonna
force,
go?
zero matter.
And because we know Loki's staff is the mind gem as well. So like it would not make sense if zero matter and the mind gem, unless this leads to them discovering it.
And we know for a fact that this stuff is dipping into the realm of magic. So like,
but it also wouldn't make sense for them to discover it because at this point the mind gem is theoretically with Thanos.
Complete side note, did you guys know that there's a drink called Dark Force? It's terrible.
We should all drink it on the season finale.
There's an alcoholic drink called Dark Force. It's like a beer. I had it in Norway in Oktoberfest, and it was like one of the first beers I drank, and it was disgusting. But beer's an acquired taste, so maybe I would appreciate it more.
Someone go to Norway, or if you have any fans in Norway, please send this to us immediately.
All right, so with the Dark Force, like, what did you guys think of the whole like Whitney absorbing it from what's her name, Jane Scott? Because that was real creepy. Like they both are clearly they like because Whitney Frost is smart, and I love that she's smart.
I like that she's
and they're
smart
both
too.
figuring this out at the same time.
I can't help but wonder if that's like not tied into it as well. Like as they're both discovering more and more, like the other one instinctively knows because they have this connection.
Interesting.
But like when she grabbed onto her, I was a little afraid that as soon as she was done absorbing the dark force, the body would just collapse
fall
in
apart,
on itself.
or like implode.
I thought it was gonna wake up.
Oh!
Yeah, I thought I was gonna wake up and I was gonna be like, oh, this is gonna be really dark.
Yeah, I also thought it was gonna wake up. I also really enjoyed Peggy and Jarvis's reaction when they were up in the air duct to her saying, "I need an atomic bomb," and they're like, What?
That came out of nowhere.
They had the exact same reaction that I did, basically, is what I'm saying.
Why would you go side by side while you're in a duct?
I know.
That makes the least amount of sense.
It's also like the most likely for that duct to just collapse.
Yeah. You want to separate the weight out. You don't want to concentrate it.
Yeah. Also, like, real close quarters.
They have some very industrial strength air ducts in this morgue.
I mean, probably,
And this is years and years and years before Die Hard's supposed to take place, so two people could fit into it instead of one.
In fairness, they were going into a cold storage facility, so they need some pretty powerful air.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
But regardless, so I mean, so this leads to them getting this whole team together. Which
to go
is
get
so nuts. Like,
it's so good.
I still can't. What exactly was it that led to them needing Rose?
They needed someone they could absolutely trust to be part of this operation.
Because the council has its hands in everything.
Yeah.
And Sousa wasn't comfortable with such a small team. And then he got made fun of for acting like Thompson.
Yes.
Calls him like a Susan.
And then Rose beat up a guy and then took his trench knife.
Yep. Yep. No, I loved when they were having the discussion about Rose, and of course Peggy was very adamant, like, oh, we should definitely take her with us. We know we can absolutely trust her, and that was where the joke happened about acting like Thompson. But then they're like, I'm gonna be really uncomfortable if I have to worry about protecting her, and she like throws someone into a window in that very moment.
Well, and this
beat up a one-man band.
Look, have you ever seen a one-man band? He deserved it.
Okay.
Well, and this is kind of a good example of how, like, the times really did affect everybody's perception, because Sousa, I think, is one of the most enlightened male characters in this show.
Yeah, I would
because
agree.
he respects Peggy so much and he knows what she's capable of. But that doesn't mean he's not as dismissive as Thompson can be to other women.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, he sees Rose and he completely judges what's on the surface.
Well, here's the one thing I'll say, and it is, I think, not a flaw, but like something that did bug me a little bit about, like, because this show has been very good about being realistic within Marvel.
Yeah.
And as much as, like, Rose is an awesome character and hilarious, she hasn't seen field action ever, as far as we know.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to see in her and Peggy's fight. And it had nothing to do with them being women. Yeah. Peggy, I could see it a little bit more, like her being able to take these guys down so clearly. They didn't put up enough of a struggle for me, either side.
Yeah.
Okay.
I say that in general about fights on TV. It's something that I think very few shows do right. Daredevil is one of the very few shows
where he's
that,
like, ow, pain.
When
it hurts to get punched.
Yeah, when you get hit, it affects how you fight. And
I think that might be more form versus function, where it's a half-hour show and they can't deal with the fact that or an hour show. So it's an hour show,
but it's a TV hour show whereas like
so it's like 40 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And the Netflix shows have the luxury of actually being an hour long.
Yeah.
I will say, to your point, you're right, because presumably she hasn't been in a fight scenario since she completed her training, but she completed the same training as every other male operative.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, unless she's been actively training on her own, then she would have been at least a little rusty.
I almost would have liked to see her get by the skin of her teeth a little more.
That's
like, get punched in the face and go, oh.
Yeah.
Because that's even more impressive to me.
Exactly.
Is when you are up against an opponent who puts up a fight.
No, it's true. No, I totally see your point on that, Zach, because the thing is that it's like, I think that would have been more realistic in terms of just like portraying this character, because obviously she is an incredibly smart and capable character, and it almost would have lent itself even better to the comedy if it was like a series of mishaps by which she was successful.
And like her hair's all like askew when she comes back into the room. Like, what did I miss?
Not even mishaps, because I do believe that she's perfectly capable of it. But I just like
show her being a little more resourced and a little less like, I'm gonna stab you with a knife.
Yeah, because those are also real big dudes.
Yeah.
Hey man, she lives in Los Angeles, walking down Hollywood Boulevard as a lady walking down Hollywood Boulevard. That's a war zone.
Yeah.
That's a complete war zone. You're under attack.
It's true. I have to
men telling you to smile all the time.
Yeah.
No,
I have to disarm people on a regular basis.
I will say there. Before we got to the end, though, there was a jarring bit of violence that we got in the middle of the episode when just this mafioso, for no reason, just starts beating.
We'll get into
underling.
Joseph Manfredi, I believe his name is,
Yeah,
in just a minute, because let's finish talking about Peggy and
sorry, I didn't mean to jump
the
ahead.
Ocean's 11 style robbery of nuclear frickin' warheads.
And Jarvis gets locked in the room by himself and has to get the what were they?
They were
plutonium, exactly.
Rods. That was actually a reference to when they were doing. When they were talking about the souffle, that was a reference to when they were doing experiments with plutonium, and they would talk about having to be as careful as taking a souffle out of the oven.
Look, the plutonium is not the bomb. The recipe is the bomb.
Yeah.
Megan's the only one that fully understood what I was doing there.
But that was like a cool reference. It was also just fun seeing Jarvis super nervous.
Yeah.
He's just like, well, what did he say? And he's like, what did you say? Is the door going to open soon?
Well, and talk about getting by the skin of your teeth. Like, I think what you're talking about with Rose's fight, we see more with Jarvis
and his struggle,
because he wasn't the one that was supposed to be in that room.
Peggy and Frost. She got by the skin of her kidneys.
Specifically by falling in such a way that they were not impaled.
I'm not a doctor, but the fact that nothing vital was hit, I'm not sure that's true.
It was in a spot where, in theory,
you still have important things
there are organs, but like it could have missed it. That I'm not letting them off the hook on this one though. I mean, because like.
Your liver's pretty big.
She has that standoff with Whitney Frost, and she goes down. It was also, she fell pretty far.
She did.
She could have broken ribs and her spine and lots of things.
Even if that barb hadn't been there,
she still would have done some damage.
She would have had broken bones, potentially a broken back. Like, it's not like she fell onto a bunch of cardboard boxes. She fell onto like
cinder blocks
and like wood.
Like that might have killed her. Like
Yeah. And Peggy is not superhuman.
No, she's not.
So again, like we love this show, but there's some like little places where you gotta call them out on it.
Yeah.
And like the fact that she's even mobile in the slightest bit after that is like.
That's a little unbelievable.
Yeah, I had a hard time suspending my disbelief.
I forgive them in episodes like this where it's a very heightened episode, like a comedy episode like this.
Yes.
It feels like even the violence is a little bit heightened. If it was an episode that was like much more grounded and it was like them getting a team together and it was super serious and stuff like that, and then someone fell and didn't
You're
get
like, this
hurt
isn't
badly.
grounded in realism.
Yeah, but the entire episode was super goofy and heightened, so even the violence and the damage that happened is I'm pretty forgiving on that. Like if this was Daredevil, I would have been like, why?
Yeah, no, you're right. No, this would never fly in Daredevil.
Why establish for 5 episodes that this guy's a mortal man
and then allow him to live like that?
Yeah.
We watched a lot of anime where like somebody gets stabbed full on in the chest and they're like, don't worry, I moved my internal organs, it's totally fine.
Yeah, Ryan Taliesin in the chat room says, I just attribute it to the fact that it is still a comic book series.
Well, and I feel like the whole reason, and maybe there were better ways for them to go about doing this, but I feel like the whole point of that is for the next episode, and we can delve into it for predictions, but I think that it was so that they would have to outsource for assistance.
Yes.
Like, put Peggy in a position to where she's kind of out of action so that you bring back other characters.
Yeah, and in a moment, let's talk about Sousa and Violet and everything that happens after we bring Peggy to her. And also, we're going to talk about Joseph Manfredi and Whitney Frost and her husband, because I can't remember his
Cal.
But first, I want to do some iTunes shout-outs. Did we do them last week?
We did everything up to
reading all of them.
Yeah, because we hadn't done any so far.
Yeah, I know. But we got 3 new ones to shout out this week. And I want to thank you guys so much for going on to iTunes, giving us a shout out. It really does. It really does help us. Yeah. And you do get a shout out as well. But go into iTunes, hit us with a review. If you're on YouTube, hit us with that little thumbs up button that's in the corner. I think it's around here somewhere. And like all those ways to help us. Subscribe to AfterBuzz TV on YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, all those places. It really does help. It helps us with our numbers, which help make this podcast searchable. Helps keep us the -- 1 podcast. When you just search Agent Carter under podcast, we come up first.
Yeah.
Number 1. And we love you guys for helping us get there. So I'm your density says must see AfterBuzz. This panel, as well as the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. AfterBuzz, is essential to getting the fullest enjoyment from the franchise. The hosts frequently have tasty nuggets of supplemental knowledge to provide for those fans who aren't quite as up to speed on the complete Marvel compendium, as well as real-world tie-ins to events referenced depicted in the shows. Also, they never fail to make me feel like we are all having lots of fun. JB 97.9 says, great podcast, great show.
Thumbs up.
Jillybean 729. Hey, Jillybean. Excelente. The Agent Carter, S.H.I.E.L.D. and Arrow podcasts are the only ones I watch. I've tried others, but none are as great as yours. In my honest opinion, I love all your insight and theories, and that you're as crazy obsessed as I am. Hashtag, it's all connected.
She's in the hashtag right now. Hi, nice. She wrote us a song.
She wrote us a song.
So let's get back into it. Let's talk about Sousa and Violet. Since we were just there.
Oh, man.
I like
that was such
Violet.
A cute.
I like Violet too.
I don't want her to be Hydra. I like her.
She's not. I think it's safe to say at this point she's not a spy or anything sinister
that she knows of. She could be a sleeper agent.
Yeah, someone could flip a switch, say a keyword, and then all of a sudden she's like a robot killing machine, the Manchurian Candidate. No,
I don't think that's where we're going. Especially after, like, I was worried after this whole very cute proposal scene.
That proposal scene was
what are you doing?
Cute.
It was
adorable.
Awesome.
Really
like, he loses the ring in the couch.
And so they're searching for it
and
together.
She's like, what are you
Did they find the ring?
I mean,
I feel like eventually.
But I want to be proposed to that way.
I mean,
I don't want to get married, but I want to be proposed to that way.
I agree.
Yes.
It's so adorable. You're cruel and uncompromising and lovely.
Yep.
You were so mean.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wasn't mean.
You were mean. But then by the end, so obviously she says yes, and this is very cute. Let's find it then.
Yeah. But then by the end, it was so funny though, because right after that, we were all like, "Oh, she's a spy."
Yeah, I was definitely like, I like her so much. Yeah. Now I'm scared.
They're gonna break our hearts. Yep. That's what they're gonna do.
But by the end of the episode, my thinking that she's a spy goes away, because I think she may just be an actual person who's going to have an emotional complication to the story.
Yeah, it's possible.
So
I think she has a real chance of surviving the show. If she breaks up with Sousa,
she might live.
There's no reason to kill her. Don't do it.
Let her live. We need her for season.
Smartest thing you could do.
I know.
She's off hanging out with. She can go hang out with Angie.
They can have a little girls' club. It'll be great.
Angie bailed. She's just like, you know what? I'm gonna die if I stay near you.
Peggy's last roommate got fridged. She made the right decision.
It's true.
But I will say I very much appreciated the scene, because she calls out what we've all been saying about Sousa this entire time, that he did in fact run away from Peggy Carter, and he's not owning up to his responsibility. He hid from her, And that's not the responsible thing to do. It's the easier thing to do.
It is.
And this goes to people of both genders. If there's somebody you're not interested in, the best thing to do is be honest with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I don't think that I legitimately don't think that he's not interested in her.
But somebody you feel like you shouldn't be with, be honest.
Yeah,
but it's hard to do that.
But I mean, that's the thing, is like there definitely is an element of that, and he absolutely on some level probably still is using her to try to get over Peggy. I mean, it's a thing.
This is the moment where she realizes she's the rebound relationship and didn't know about it.
I think not necessarily. I think he legitimately loves Violet and would love to be married to her, but he needs to address his feelings about Peggy first, because you can hold. I don't prescribe to the belief that there's one person for every one person. I think love can be anything you want it to be, that I think if you are in love with two people, you need to address those feelings, and that would poison that relationship no matter what. Even if Peggy hadn't come to LA, it would still have poisoned that relationship.
I agree.
It's a very human thing, and the thing is, like, he was in another city. He had effectively expunged Peggy from his life, and that's what you need to do when, like, because as far as he was concerned, like, the feelings were not requited, and like he attempted to move on. It's a very hard thing to do, and I wouldn't even necessarily call it a rebound.
No, it's not. A rebound is not the right word for it.
He moved out here. He fell in love, and then like she's not an ex, but like effectively emotionally, it's the same thing. Like if an ex comes back into your life and is then like you're forced to make them a part of your life, especially. It's a crazy impossible thing to deal with. I don't fault him. Sorry, let me.
No, you finish your thought, and then I will chime in.
We'll chime in.
I don't fault him for not telling Violet in the beginning that he was running away from like a woman.
In the beginning.
Well, I think maybe
you get the two sides of the coin. You get the male perspective and the female perspective.
I think once Peggy comes back into his life in such a capacity,
I think you give it. I
think maybe it would at that point, and only at that point, would it be even reasonable. But
throw him a quick text.
But if
you mean a quick telegram?
Yeah,
telegram,
Morse code.
Dash. Impossible Hydra agent.
My husband's in love with Peggy Carter.
But what I was going to say about it is I agree with you that I think that at first, before Peggy became part of his life again, sure, there is no reason to tell Violet about her. The issue I have is that Sousa was not responding to Peggy at all.
Yes, I was like just about to say the same thing.
That's the thing is that basically what we're seeing with him is that when it comes to relationships, he is very cowardly. And that's not okay.
That's fair.
You can't have your pie
and eat it too. Yes. So basically,
he was reference. I slipped it in. I'm
like
happy
pie.
for it.
So initially,
your pie is in me.
So basically, at the start of the series, he was, or in between the two seasons, let's say, he was being unfair to Peggy by just simply ignoring her to try to make her go away. That's not okay. Be like, Peggy, I moved away. I gotta be done with you. Like, it's cool, but like, you did not reciprocate my feelings, and I'm moving on.
I'd be more on your
call
side.
It ghosting.
Yes, that is what the kids call it, and it is not okay.
I'd be more on your side, Zach, if their relationship had closure.
Yes.
But he ran away from her and didn't respond. Like, he didn't even send her a nice Dear John letter and say, like, I appreciate it, but I'm moving on with my life. I wish you the best of happiness. That's all he had to do, and he didn't.
That's fair. It
Dear
is
John
coming.
text.
Well, telegram, a telegram for Miss Carter. But like, if that had happened, Thompson would have never sent her there to begin with, and this entire season would not have happened. So anything bad that happens to Peggy Carter by the end of this season is inadvertently Sousa's fault, because he didn't man up and tell her, "I'm sorry.
I don't want to be in love with you anymore.
We need to not be together."
Man.
Sousa's the villain we all deserve.
A lot of people in the chat are still shipping Peggy and Sousa.
And you're more than welcome
to. They're gonna wind up together. Let's
not at Violet's expense. That's all.
But
assuming she's not a spy.
But so I mean, I'm not sure what this is going to lead to. I guess let's talk about it a little more in predictions, but because I want to make sure that we have time to talk about Joseph Manfredi. And for this segment, I'm going to toss it over to Jesse.
Hi everyone, it's me.
It's Jesse's moment in Marvel history.
Jesse's corner.
So Joseph Manfredi, for those of you who are kind of familiar with Marvel lore, he is the son of Silvio Manfredi, also known as Silvermane, who is a huge villain in Daredevil, and anyone who like works in like New York, he's a huge gang leader and gang boss. In the Superior Foes of Spider-Man, a lot of that series is them trying to get Silvermane's still alive head.
That's where I saw him recently. I couldn't place him.
Yeah.
The owl had him. And so his son, Joseph, is also known as the Black Wing or the Ringmaster. He's kind of like a low-level villain, but most importantly, the Silvermane family are like leaders in Hydra, and the American side of Hydra. So whether or not they know they did it, they've made a Hydra connection already. And that's pretty exciting. If you want to watch it or read a funny comic series, the Superior Foes of Spider-Man are hilarious because it's the opposite side. You see, like
that's amazing.
You see these people who just are trying to get along.
The not Sinister Six. Yeah.
Megan got so excited when
about
you said
Silvermane.
You took me back to the 1990s when I watched the Spider-Man animated series as a child. Because I didn't connect the two, but you said Silvermane and poosh, just a wave of nostalgia.
In the 90s animated series, Silvermane was a big villain for Black Panther, and he and Spider-Man teamed up to fight Silvermane.
All right.
So basically,
in this case, in the show, Joseph Manfredi seems to just be,
still on
at least
Netflix?
for now,
a mob boss.
A gangster, mob boss who's real violent.
Like, oh my gosh, I like watching it. I was like, you need someone who has as good of a comic sensibility as Ken Marino to pull this part off. To do that switch. Because he starts off and he seems like a ridiculous, like, okay, who's this guy? And then all of a sudden he just like beats the crap out of that guy for looking at Whitney Frost the wrong way. Which I mean,
when he asked him to look at her, he's like, "You like her? She's pretty."
You think she's beautiful?
You think she... Bam!
It was I just finished Daredevil, so this is a very Wilson Fisk like beat down.
It reminded me of Pan's Labyrinth with the wine bottle.
It's just the worst.
But it was a cool scene. I liked what we're getting from this character. I think it's leading somewhere interesting.
It's good world building. It's also kind of more for people who aren't as aware of American history. Coming out of Prohibition, a lot of American politicians were dealing with gangsters, and a lot of them were bought and paid for by gangsters. And so like seeing that Calvin, like earlier in his political career, had to take money from gangsters and use it, like it makes a lot of sense that in the 50s a lot of times gangs use their political pull to push a lot of legislature in the United States government. So it was like a little more world building, more like a reminder of like where we are in the world.
Yeah. I'm wondering when this show is going to tackle the
Red
LA.
Scare.
I was going to say the
McCarthyism.
I was going to say the deals that shut down all of LA transit. Yeah,
I'd love to see that.
They
covered.
mentioned the freeway deal, and I was like, she's working with Cloverleaf Industries.
Oh boy. All right. Well, I think as we run down on our time, I think it is time to move into predictions.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
I'm very excited to see that Dottie's gonna be back.
Where has she been all my life?
I know.
We get a double episode.
Yeah. So for those of you who aren't aware, the next 2 weeks are going to both be double episodes. So, and then that's it for Agent Carter for this year. Is we have 2 more weeks of Agent Carter, and then S.H.I.E.L.D. will
Comes
return.
back, yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
I'm very happy, but at the same time, Agent Carter is such a nice break, and we left S.H.I.E.L.D. in a very dismal spot, so it's just going to be very dark coming back.
Agent Carter reminds me a lot of like a British, because I was reading our YouTube comments and they're like, we're worried about it getting canceled, and it feels like to me Agent Carter is like being handled like a British series where like they have a specific story they want to tell, and once they're done, I think they'll just be done. There's not a whole lot of fat on the stories. Like it doesn't seem like they're pushing for episodes.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm not sure that what Agent Carter would do with the season 3. It'll depend on where this season goes. Like we've seen Peggy in the 60s in Ant-Man.
Yep.
So we've caught up to her there, and that's when she's fully integrated into S.H.I.E.L.D. I think that's to me that's where the series ends.
It's exactly once they've found S.H.I.E.L.D. essentially.
Once Peggy Carter found S.H.I.E.L.D., the series is done.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's where it should end.
Totally.
Like, unless they had a completely different set of stories that they had in mind for like the first S.H.I.E.L.D. team. But the founding of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a really good place to end it, and it doesn't need to go on.
I will say, I feel like to wrap it up entirely with the establishment of S.H.I.E.L.D. within the next 4 episodes would be a little fast.
It's a tall order.
I think it has one more season left in it, but after that, I don't think so.
See, I think this season ends with the disbanding of the SSR.
Yeah.
I think it ends...
And then we get one season with her just sort of like...
trying
in the wind.
Yeah, her trying to gather agents around the United States to try and pick up where the SSR got disbanded by the FBI.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say the FBI disbands them because they're part of the Council of Nine. And I think that's where this season ends, or
I agree.
Thematically it makes sense to me.
Yeah, and I would love to see her going up on a longer term against Kurtwood Smith. He's a phenomenal actor.
I love Kurtwood Smith.
I'm so excited to see him do more. I think the FBI is going to come in.
Oh yeah.
And soon enough, they're going to come in. They're going to take back the plutonium and stuff. The big thing that we left the episode on was Jason, like,
I know, started to glitch out.
Yeah, thank you. That was what I was like. So we know that he and Whitney are tied together. Whitney's husband was he's calling the council, like, we got to get everybody together. Something crazy is going on. My wife is nuts. They're like, what have you called this meeting? My wife is insane.
The reason why we always call meetings. My wife is crazy.
James, am I right?
Like, go back to bed, Calvin.
Dem broads. Dem broads.
But so, I mean, those are the big places that we leave. Like, Whitney is like testing her powers, absorbing more of the dark matter. Jason is clearly drawn to the same dark matter.
Yeah, I'm worried he's gonna get absorbed by her. Like, she's got so much dark matter in her now, and she's growing more and more powerful. I think that when he's talking about feeling like he's being drawn to something, I feel like it's her.
It's her,
Like, she's trying to absorb him.
Well, I feel like when the accident happened, like the dark matter was dispersed and it's trying to come back together. And once it comes back together, we're gonna get that big boom again.
Yeah,
that's what I think is gonna. I still think she's gonna end up the center of a big black hole by the end of the season.
It's like nitrogen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I personally hope
it's trivalent for all of you guys out there.
I don't think we're going to lose Whitney Frost. Like, I would love to see her character continue. I think she's a
she's a great character.
I think by the end of the season, I mean, next week we got Dottie going up against her.
Dottie.
I think if she does absorb Wilkes, I think that's going to lead to her having some more of those Madame Mask traits and abilities. Because I'm still waiting for something of that.
Because they keep having masks in the background going, hey guys, hey.
Yeah, and I mean, she keeps, the damage on her face keeps increasing, so.
From seeing the preview, it does not look like Peggy's going to be sidelined that badly. But I do feel like they're going to use it as an excuse. TV shows do this a lot where, like, couples that haven't like address their issues, get locked in a bunker, or get put in a car that they can't escape. And they have to kind of talk about their issues. So I feel like they're gonna use that as an excuse to kind of keep her and Sousa in a room for a period of time. So that they kind of have to hash things out.
That might be why they call in Dottie. I'm very excited to see how they get Dottie.
Dottie's the other woman in their relationship. Sorry,
because last time we saw her, she was with the FBI.
Well, and we haven't seen Jack in a while. For somebody who looked like he was throwing such a wrench into things by kind of siding with the council, we haven't seen him since he saw the headline. So we don't know where his mental state is at this point. I still think that I want to believe he'll do the right thing.
I do too. I'm until proven otherwise, I'm standing by Agent Thompson doing the right thing.
It might take him a while, but that was last season too. It took him a little while to do the right thing, but he did eventually kind of. Up until he took credit for everything.
Yeah, Thompson.
It's hard to overthrow societal norms, okay? Give Jack Thompson time.
Yeah, it's tough.
Give Jack Thompson his time. I think we're going to see Sousa. I still think he and Viola are going to try to work it out.
Yeah, I do too.
I think in terms of Wilkes, he and Whitney Frost are going to get combined and become that's going to create a weird entity going on, like thing within Whitney Frost. The thing
Super
is,
genius.
Super genius. That's true.
Two geniuses going
that is
at
two
once.
Brilliant minds.
And I mean, the two of them together, then it becomes a battle for what the want is. Is the want to solve this or to use it even more? To me, the
dark force, zero matter.
I keep calling it dark matter too.
I wrote dark matter in my notes, but
the zero matter feels like it has like a conscience.
Yeah.
To it.
Yeah.
And I think that what that's going to end up being tied to is its conscience is Whitney Frost, and it's not that it like wants. It's like driven by a natural like pull to go back to its own universe. And Whitney Frost then got a hold of it, and it's now using her wants as a driving force.
Her ambition.
Sort of combining the two.
Okay, here's my pie in the sky.
Okay.
I love your pie in the sky theories.
Wilkes and Frost combine, and then they dedicate to super science, and they form AIM.
Oh!
Yeah.
I mean, we already know
they
where
become
AIM.
one giant head.
Perfect.
And we get MODOK.
If we hadn't already gotten AIM in Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true.
But yes, I want more AIM. I would
I would just like a
love more
MODOK.
AIM. Oh yeah, MODOK. Oh my god, the most ridiculous thing that exists. Like, I'd say the most ridiculous thing that exists in the Marvel
Universe.
Universe.
It's the most comic booky thing.
Yeah. So it's like the little legs.
Yeah.
Little booster.
Little legs, little arms, giant head, laser crystal on its forehead.
Marvel, MODOK.
Please.
MODOK in the MCU. That's all we're asking for. And on that note, they're gonna sign off here at AfterBuzz TV's Agent Carter After Show. We'll be back next week to talk about the continued adventures of Agent Carter. Reminder, guys, 2-hour episodes starting, I believe, at 8 p.m. Whatever your local time is. Probably different in Central and Mountain, but you check your local listings. Until we come back, Jesse Klein, where can everyone keep up with you?
Well, I'd like to remind everyone that there was no Bernard in this episode.
No, Bernard watched 26.
Where's Bernard?
But you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JessKlein1. That's JessKlein, the number 1. On not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, you can see me performing with my team Haymaker at the Pack Theater. Don't come. It's a terrible show. It's not for you.
I'm Emma Fyffe. You can follow me all over the internet wherever Emma Fyffes are sold at Emma Fyffe. That's my name, EMMAFYFFE. That is all F's as in Fred, no S's as in snake. They tend to sound the same on the phone or when they're recorded into a microphone and transmitted into your ears. If you guys are in the Phoenix this coming weekend, I will be at Amazing Arizona Comic-Con at the Phoenix Convention Center, February 12th, 13th, and 14th. I will be doing lots of panels and fashion show things. I'm doing a panel with Meredith Placco on Marvel on TV, so come check that out. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter at @themenguin and on Instagram. That's TheMenguin. I also do a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz. I write articles for the Movie Chick. That's Chick with 2 Ks. Be sure to check those out. And I actually I had an interview with Robert Englund earlier today, so that'll be going up for the Popcorn Talk Network at some point soon. Super jazzed about that. Totally didn't geek out at all. No worries, guys.
Never. Make sure that you guys, if you aren't aware, we are the whole AfterBuzz TV Marvel team. It can be found as one collective unit on Twitter now at ABTV Marvel. Real simple to remember, ABTV Marvel. Go follow us there. And if you want to follow me, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and now YouTube at that Zach Wilson. I have a crazy new stretch goal for 2016. By the end of the year, by December 31st, I want to have 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. Okay. So far, I have 39. So I've got a ways to go. I just this week did a video about, is Marvel making too much stuff? Are we in danger of a Marvel overload in the MCU? And I investigate that fact. As I said, that Zach Wilson. Lots of stuff here at AfterBuzz, and so until next week, guys, I'm Zach Wilson, and thanks for geeking out with us.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz ya later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.